Open weight models have finally reached parity. In 2026, tools like Llama 4 and DeepSeek R1 output the exact same benchmark numbers as proprietary models. That parity shifts the problem entirely. You no longer must find the smartest model. You have to decide if you want to pay a monthly fee to rent that intelligence or buy the massive hardware to own it. This chart shows the collision course. As open source AI capabilities climb, consumer RAM prices have spiked 30%. Fabrication plants that supplied memory for laptops are directing output to long-term cloud contracts. Hyperscaler demand is absorbing the capacity. Choosing an AI model today requires physical deployment logistics and capital allocation. Renting intelligence means relying on cloud APIs like GPT-5 and Claude 4.6. You pay a recurring tax on every token generated, and you surrender your proprietary data to a third party. Owning intelligence means running models locally. You guarantee absolute privacy and eliminate subscription fees entirely. But look at this presentation slide, specifically the 1.8 terabytes per second memory bandwidth. Running flagship models like DeepSeek R1 without compression requires extreme hardware throughput. These VRAM requirements force an ultimatum. To get top-tier performance on your desk, you must buy the infrastructure. True, high-performance open-source AI requires a massive upfront hardware tax. The idea that local AI is completely free is an illusion. To evaluate the cloud frontier, acknowledge the physical scale required to run models like Claude 4.6 and Gemini 3.1. You are tapping into miles of dense server racks. Accessing this infrastructure requires accepting two specific inputs: committing to recurring token costs, and transmitting your internal data to external servers. This bar chart shows the resulting advantage. Cloud infrastructure supports context windows of up to 1 million tokens, allowing you to digest entire enterprise codebases instantly. The trade-off is strict vendor lock-in. If your organization requires GDPR compliance or works with highly secured enterprise data, this path introduces severe liabilities, and the major players are closing their doors. Meta has reportedly delayed its open-source Llama successor, pivoting toward proprietary frameworks with their avocado models. Reliance on closed U.S. cloud ecosystems is deepening. The alternative is the open-weight enterprise path, utilizing models like Mistral Large 3 and Qwen 3.5. Instead of renting APIs, you deploy Apache 2.0 or MIT-licensed models directly onto specialized, privately owned enterprise servers. You achieve complete data sovereignty. You can run novel architectures like a 100 sub-agent swarm without paying compounding per token tolls, but you inherit the technical burden. Deploying and maintaining this infrastructure requires dedicated engineering teams. Corporate users must weigh the immediate ease of cloud deployment against the long-term strategic sovereignty of hosting their own intelligence. For individuals deploying at home or in the office, the options are dictated entirely by raw silicon. The first option is the local powerhouse path. This is for users aiming to run massive models like DeepSeek R1 and Qwen 3 Core at full capacity. The input requirement is harsh. You have to invest $2,000 or more into flagship consumer GPUs just to acquire 32 gigabytes of VRAM. This block graphic compares physical capacity. The RTX 5090 has 32 gigabytes. The RTX 5080 has 16. Unquantized flagship models physically cannot fit into the smaller card. If you make the investment, you gain 100% offline functionality, infinite free generation, and absolute privacy. But your context windows are strictly capped by that physical memory. If your memory fills up, the model halts completely. The final path covers the edge or compact optimizers, utilizing models like Gemma 3, Phi 4, or GPT-5 Nano. You run heavily quantized models on the laptop or smartphone you already own, utilizing 8 to 16 gigabytes of RAM without buying new hardware. The trade-off is an extreme degradation in complex reasoning. You limit the AI to basic text generation and summarization. In the realm of local AI, your hardware strictly limits your capabilities. You can only be as smart as your physical memory allows. This flowchart is the 2026 LLM decision matrix. We can use it to filter the fragmented AI landscape by your primary constraints. Let's start with the corporate optimizer. If your organization's absolute mandate is protecting proprietary data, you follow the privacy branch. The direct recommendation is to deploy Mistral Large 3 or DeepSeek R1. Adopting these specific models guarantees your GDPR compliance while completely removing the risk of vendor lock-in. For the solo developer whose primary need is managing massive amounts of code, the constraints shift to context size. If you need to analyze a 100,000-line codebase simultaneously, renting Cloud Intelligence is currently the only physically viable path. Finally, the local AI enthusiast. Your goal is total offline independence and escaping subscription fatigue. Your immediate hardware strategy requires swallowing the heavy capital cost of an RTX 5090. Utilizing 32 gigabytes of VRAM future-proofs your system to handle the sheer size of DeepSeek and Llama 4 locally. Avoid the RTX 5080 trap. Its 16 gigabyte memory limit is a bottleneck that will cripple your ability to run future models. Stop chasing the highest benchmark scores on generic AI leaderboards. Success in the 2026 ecosystem requires defining your physical hardware and privacy constraints first, and selecting the intelligence that fits that reality.